Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Okay, we've all seen them, right? Those claims like carbon neutral flights or net zero this and that. Companies are pouring billions into something called carbon credits to make these big climate promises. But what if the whole system they're relying on is, well, fundamentally broken? Let's get into it.
Wow, just let that sink in for a second. More than 90%. This comes from a massive investigation into the world's top carbon certifiers. And what it's saying is that the most popular credits that huge companies are buying, they're basically useless for the climate. Phantom credits. I mean, that term alone tells you a lot, doesn't it?
And that is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's not just for us as consumers, but for the companies themselves. They're now facing some very real legal and financial heat. So that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we have to start with the main accusation here, a word you've probably heard a million times by now: greenwashing.
It's pretty simple, really. It's when a company puts on this green mask, talking all about how much they care about the planet, while behind the scenes it's business as usual. It's all about looking green, not actually being green.
And you see this everywhere once you start looking. You've got these giant banks promoting their green investment funds while they're still pumping massive amounts of money into fossil fuels. Or, the classic, a single-use plastic water bottle covered in pictures of pristine mountains and crystal-clear springs. It's textbook misdirection.
Now, the #1 tool companies use to make those carbon-neutral claims is the voluntary carbon market, or VCM. And folks, this market is having a major identity crisis right now.
And just look at the money involved here. We're talking about a $2 billion market right now, and it's expected to just explode to $100 billion. With that much cash on the line, you'd hope the system would be rock solid, but it's really not.
And here's the core of the problem. A huge number of these carbon credits are based on a prediction. Essentially, you're paying someone based on their promise that they would have cut down a forest, but now they won't. The whole thing is built on a forecast, a guess, not on cold, hard facts.
Now, on the surface, the process seems pretty legit, right? You create a project, an auditor checks it out, credits get issued, and a company buys them. Simple. But the real problems are hiding in those first two steps, the development and the verification.
See, the whole system just falls apart if a few key ideas aren't met. First is additionality. That's a fancy word for asking a really simple question. Was this going to happen anyway? If that forest was never going to be cut down in the first place, the credit is worthless. Then you have double counting, which is exactly what it sounds like. The same supposed carbon reduction gets sold to two different buyers. When these things fail, what do? You get those phantom credits.
So relying on this shaky system isn't just bad for the planet anymore. It's becoming a huge liability for the companies buying these credits.
And the consequences are hitting hard. We're seeing major class action lawsuits, like the one against Delta Airlines, basically calling their carbon-neutral claims false advertising. The SEC is now looking at these environmental claims with a microscope. And of course, the damage to a company's reputation when they're called out for greenwashing can be absolutely devastating. This is not an abstract risk anymore. It is very, very real.
Which naturally leads to the big question. If the old way of doing things is broken, what's next? What does a system that's actually built on trust and real proof even look like? Well, this is where some really innovative new models are starting to pop up. There's a company called the Dandy Horse Inc., and they are taking a completely different approach. They're shifting the entire focus away from offsetting emissions and towards verifiably avoiding them from the get-go.
So instead of trying to verify a prediction about a forest on the other side of the planet, the Dandy Horse Inc.'s model is built on something way more tangible: your daily commute. They use tech to capture actual, real-world empirical data every single time a commuter chooses their bike instead of their car.
And when you put the two models side by side, the difference is just night and day. The old way is based on estimates, it's super hard to verify, and it's all about trying to clean up a mess that's already been made. This new model, it's based on empirical data, it's highly verifiable, and, this is the key, it's focused on avoiding those emissions from ever happening in the first place.
And all of this real-time data creates a brand new type of asset: bicycle commuter carbon avoidance credits. Every single credit represents a specific, measured, and verified chunk of CO2 that was never released into the atmosphere because somebody decided to ride their bike. We're moving from abstract promises to concrete reality.
What makes this so powerful is that it's not just a one-way street. It creates this transparent, data-driven ecosystem where everybody involved actually benefits.
Just think about this for a second. The commuters themselves can actually make money from their healthy green choices. The corporations get the bulletproof, auditable data they so desperately need for their ESG reports and SEC filings. Cities get real, verifiable data to plan better bike lanes and infrastructure. Even building owners can use it to create more value for their tenants. It's a true win-win-win-win.
And this is where it comes full circle. Remember those corporate pain points we talked about? This model addresses them head on. Worried about lawsuits? Here's auditable data for every employee. Feeling the heat from the SEC? Here's verifiable proof of decarbonization. Struggling with those complicated ESG reports? Here's actual empirical data for your Scope 3 emissions, which includes commuting, something that's always been a nightmare to measure accurately. So what we're really seeing here is a fundamental change in thinking. It's a move away from a system of paying for promises that are hard to prove to a new system that rewards and documents real, tangible, positive actions. It's about creating real value from avoidance.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. As the cracks in the old carbon market get wider and more obvious, the demand for integrity, for proof, for verifiable data is only going to get stronger. Maybe the future of real climate action isn't about offsetting the past, but about proving we're building a cleaner future, one bike ride at a time. Thanks for tuning in.